You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about helping our supervisees to build their professionalism. This week, we read 5 Reasons Employees Struggle with Professionalism, and it is published in Psychology Today, 2022. And Heather, one of the first points that the article makes is that our supervisees may be coming to us with not a lot of life experience.
Right. There's been a big shift that a lot of times now people are getting their undergrad degree and going straight to get their master's.
Mm-hmm.
If we look back maybe 20 years ago, being a therapist was like a second career. People went back to school to become a therapist. So the shift is you now have a lot younger a lot more younger therapists, but you also have therapists who have never really functioned independently, in life, just regular, paying bills, go to the grocery store,
I think I have a sprinkling. I don't know what the percentage would be, but I think I have a sprinkling of students taking master's level counseling classes that do have life experience, but it may not be very applicable.
Okay. That really fits the book.
Right. That they're coming from some other path, some other career. And sometimes it's counseling related, but sometimes it's not.
Right.
Or I feel like I've run into this quite a bit. I've had a supervisee that has had previous job or life experience, and it is somewhat counseling adjacent. And they have a really hard time separating that from themselves as a counselor.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big challenge. So let's say the life experience that our supervisees are coming to us with can sometimes be the obstacle in having professionalism.
Right. They just don't have that experience yet.
Right. So have you had many supervisees where you've coached them through their previous life experience and helping them translate that into what they need now as a counselor?
I have, and yes and no. So I have a particular story about a supervisee, probably from, I don't know, a long time ago, a different office ago, that she came in at one of our very first sessions, and she was in yoga pants and a crop top, and I was, oh, come on in, hi. And we kind of started talking, and I didn't say anything. I wanted to know where she was at and things. And then the next time she came in again, and I said, oh, are you seeing clients? What's your schedule like? Are you seeing clients today? Because I really wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and she was going straight to the office, actually, after she left mine. And I was like, wow. So, I brought up that maybe, what kind of therapy we're working on. Are we going like this? Or said something. Yeah. And she said, well, in school, they told us to model our clients.
Oh.
And I went, oh. Well, yes, definitely. But...
Yeah.
And we kind of had to talk through a little bit, just because it was something she really thought she was doing. And she actually disclosed that she was uncomfortable with it, but she thought that's what she's supposed to do.
Yes.
So,
okay. This was also a really long time ago. I had a supervisee that was working in a setting similar to a homeless shelter.
Okay.
He thought the same thing.
I shouldn't go in looking my best. I shouldn't go in.
He came, right. He went... And he hadn't, I don't know that he'd even been to the site yet, but he came prepared, dressed what he imagined
he would
his clients would be wearing.
Okay.
It didn't go well.
No.
Yeah. But I can see that mistake. It's like their life experience. That's a rookie mistake. They just didn't know or anticipate what that would feel like or be like for their clients.
Right.
But in both cases, I bet they learned really quickly.
Another shift as we're talking, I just thought of actually. Cell phones, having your phone in a waiting room, or in your counseling room. Everyone has their phone when they walk through the door. Most people, most of my clients and most of my supervisees stash it either next to them or in their bag or whatever. But I've had a couple that respond to every ding. Like,
Oh,
did that, but I don't necessarily, I think that's just how they function in life. Phone dings, they respond,
right.
and
But that's what we're saying in this
right, and
point.
that
We're
is
making
right.
the life experience
Hmm.
in other places in their life. That's what
Right,
they would do. This is a new place or a new setting for them, and so they're having to learn a new expectation.
right.
What about I have a hard time with this. I mean, right now we're talking about in-person interaction, and maybe I'll save this because actually we're going to talk about
Okay, save it.
telehealth or electronic communication
Right.
in a second. But so we both of us have felt this that supervisees with little life experience or experience that's very different from what a
Mental health,
counseling
right?
session would need
Mm-hmm.
do have these growing pains or they're not quite sure. And it sounds like some, but not all, certainly, but some of our experience has been that they are uncomfortable with it themselves.
Right.
That they know, like
Right.
your supervisee who went, I think this is how I'm supposed to dress, but it feels really funny
Right.
to be the counselor
Right.
dressed like this.
Right.
Um, so I think that I feel like that's a nice. I'm drawing an like a positive conclusion that they are open to direction,
Right.
but they just need some molding, some
Right.
help to
Right.
know, oh, that's what you meant, or
Exactly.
that's what you were looking
Right.
for. But they're open and they're eager
Mm-hmm.
to try and figure it out.
Right. That is a big help.
Hmm. The second point in the article is that more often supervisees or I'm sorry, supervisors, the
Right.
person in charge or like a boss or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, is going to find that subordinates or supervisees, in our case, are looking for or expecting accommodations.
Right. I think that's a shift almost like in our global psychology,
Hmm.
if you will, but like how we expect now everyone has something that needs to
Yeah.
be
Like,
accommodated.
like, um, the way that we view work
Yes.
is changing, which we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about before. You
Right.
know, the way that people view work has changed a whole lot in the
Mm-hmm.
last 3 years. But how do you see this happening in supervision, where supervisees maybe are expecting or looking for more accommodations?
You know, I have there are some accommodations I'm absolutely willing to make,
Hmm.
and there are some that I'm like, meh, sorry, you can't do it my way. That's just tough, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Um, and actually, right now, I have a supervisee that is working in a clinic setting where she does not have a lot of control over her schedule.
Oh,
She
yeah.
just doesn't have a lot. And
Yeah.
so we have our appointment set that's every week, but often she will need to change it.
Hmm.
And in my schedule right now, that works okay because I have a day that's during the week that
It's
is kind of
more
more
flexible.
flexible. And I've said that right
Hmm.
now, this works.
Hmm.
It may not work forever,
Hmm.
but she also may not be there for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a difference
Right.
too. So,
Right.
but that is something that maybe I made the exception easier because I realized she's not picking this. This isn't something
Yeah.
she's choosing. She just needs more
Yeah.
flexibility on
Well,
schedule.
I mean, the way you're describing it is, and I think this is very parallel
Hmm.
for her as the supervisee, but your process with her as the supervisor, that you decided
Right.
what you were willing to do or how you were willing to accommodate, and that there was a limit to that.
Right.
You can't give her anything she wants, but
Right.
within reason. And you decided that for yourself before then making an agreement
Right.
with her.
Right.
And so I think that that's a very parallel process for her that she, in different work situations with clients or an employer, would maybe first want to reflect on what am I willing to
Right.
compromise on and what am I not willing to compromise on.
Right.
I feel confident, Heather, that if she had said, I want to meet with you at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday,
It wouldn't
you would have
happen.
like, I'm the supervisor for
Right. You
you.
don't
I
have to
think
do
it, right.
that.
That there's got to be some limit to
Right.
what we can accommodate or what we're open to
Hmm.
accommodating, and that the same is true for them
Hmm.
in, in a different way.
Right. Was interviewed by a supervisee and was asked if I would take her calls or texts 24/7.
Hmm.
And of course, that rang a bell of like, why?
Hmm.
Why do you need to be calling?
Hmm.
Please tell me why. And I, kind of like asked more detailed
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
And I just I said, if there was an emergency, of course I would be available.
Hmm.
But if you're talking about getting stuck on writing a note or how to bill something or how, like,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not
Yeah.
available.
I
So,
think that question even lends itself towards our first point, life experience. I
right.
think that sounds to me like a question that she was guided into asking
Right.
based on
Someone told her.
school or something
Right.
like that, that your supervisor should be available to you. Yes,
Right.
within reason.
Right.
But her not knowing
What that means.
what is
Right.
that, what is being a counselor really going to take
Mm-hmm.
of me this,
Mm-hmm.
and so then what kind of support might I anticipate needing from a supervisor if she just doesn't know yet?
Right.
Then she doesn't know what she's asking for yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Have you had a supervisor? Well, maybe that's your example. Have you had a supervisee ask you for accommodations that just were not reasonable, that you did have to say, I'm not going to be able to do that?
Other than wanting to count hours that really weren't counseling hours, I
Mm,
haven't had that. I mean, I
yeah.
have had that happen, but I haven't had any other ones that I've been like, oh yeah, that's not going to happen. I've always
Hmm.
tried to figure something out. I haven't had any
Um,
bizarre requests.
I think scheduling is a big one. Like,
Yeah.
when and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to change often.
Right.
I've had supervisees that had a hard time managing meeting every week, and that's
That's
for
yeah.
many reasons
Right.
not an accommodation we can make.
Well,
We aren't allowed to
mm-hmm.
not meet every week.
I thought of one that you did that I just remembered.
Mm.
One of your supervisees had a little one during the
Mm-hmm.
time you were her supervisor, and
Mm-hmm. We
yeah,
did that for a while. That is a good example because we made it work for a little bit, probably like 6 months,
right. When they're still a
when
teeny.
they're still little, and she was still in her baby carrier.
Right.
And then when it got to the point where we couldn't really very effectively have supervision, and we were both kind of
Distracted.
right, we had like one eyeball on the kid and
Right.
what she was doing, and it felt like, I think it was making us both nervous.
Right.
At that point, then it wasn't a
Right.
reasonable accommodation.
But it was for that period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good.
What else? What about if someone wanted you to, I was reading, I think on Facebook or something. What if someone wanted you to accommodate their price,
Mm.
the cost of supervision?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we are the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a time in my life where I would maybe have accommodated it or worked out like a payment plan if you can't pay me every week or you can't whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would accommodate it.
Yeah. I think similar to scheduling, I would think there are other ways to do that.
Right. Exactly.
Right. If you're a person and you really needed supervision to happen Sunday mornings at 8 a.m., Heather's not your person.
Right.
But I think that there is somebody out there who could do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think I would say the same about the cost of supervision. That if where my price is set is not something that you can manage, there are other ways to get supervision.
Right. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. On to the impact of telehealth and our professionalism. And so things have changed a whole lot in the last 3 years. But what do you see as some of the impacts of telehealth or virtual work having on supervisees or your relationship with supervisees?
I have had supervisees on screen with me, but also on a different monitor trying to type their notes and trying to...
Really?
And I've had to go, yeah, just you and me. Just you and me. We're in a room. We're having a conversation.
And do you think that they were being sneaky and thought they were doing it, or
No.
it was blatant?
It was blatant. Like there was no question. Like, oh, well, you're here with me, but I'm going to type this note. And so, I mean, I just like softly corrected and it was no problem. And they even came back around and were like, I mean, you're right. If I was sitting in your office, I wouldn't be doing this right now. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that one is really blatant. And that's why I asked if it was sneaky or not. I feel like I have supervisees that have done that, and they feel pretty justified.
Oh, this is their
in how they're using their time. Going through a drive-through to pick up food.
Oh.
Sitting in the pickup line at school to get their kid.
Oh, okay. What were they going to do when the child got in the car?
Well, that's why they got to the pickup line really late on purpose. So they were going to sit in the whole line. It was
Okay.
going to take them a long time to get there. That's how they, or,
Oh.
I mean, I think one time I had someone getting their nails done.
Oh.
They were sitting in a salon chair
Mhm.
getting their toes done.
Right. And you're like, somehow we can't talk about clients right now.
And,
Hmm.
and, in a whole lot of those cases, they had headphones on.
Oh, yeah.
And so they also went, well, but no one can hear.
Everyone can hear
Well,
what you're
but they
saying.
can hear your end of
Right.
the conversation.
Right. I do think that is something to, happens from time to time. I've had during COVID, I was doing supervision and, everyone's home at the same, like kids are home, everyone's
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
home. And like their kid, found them because they needed them,
Yeah.
and like, which is fine. I mean, they need to be attentive to that if
Yeah.
that's going to happen. But I think that like that barrier does get broken.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I think to me, that's an accommodation I can put up with.
yeah, that's a
If you are doing your best to be focused and you're in a room with the door closed and
and a
your
kid comes
kid,
in,
right, and
soon as
someone's going,
right,
mom, mom, and you're like,
right,
okay, we got to stop so you can
right,
answer.
right.
And like the mom call, how often is it like,
Mm,
never mind.
right.
They just wanted to know
I
where you
figured it
were.
out. I just needed to know what room you were in.
Right. Or like, I'm hungry
Right.
or whatever, something that could be
I mean,
easily
my kids have
fixed.
walked in and gone, I didn't know you were on the call.
Yeah,
Walk back out.
sure. What about other forms of virtual work? Emails, phone calls, text messages.
Hmm.
Um,
I think text messages is one that, like, people think that they've texted you, so you will reply instantly.
Instantaneously. Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes I have back-to-back sessions. I mean, we all do,
Yeah.
right?
I was going to say that happened to me just yesterday. A
Right.
kid who I knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
She texted me 30 minutes before her session and said, are we meeting? And I'm like, that's never been a question.
Right.
And so I thought, you're doing something that you kind of don't want to stop doing. But the kid knew I was in a session, so I didn't
Right.
respond instantly. So when I did respond, which was about 10 minutes before her session, no response.
Right.
Didn't get it. And so I went, so you're checking to see, but you didn't.
Right.
What about, I think through all of those forms of communication, you can be more casual, less professional.
It could happen easily.
What earlier I was going to say something that I have trouble with, and so I'd love to hear how you might handle this. I have a hard time coaching or guiding a supervisee who doesn't send professional emails in coaching them to send a professional email.
Oh, you mean like bad grammar or
right, like an email that starts with no salutation, that doesn't have an ending, that doesn't have punctuation. And so my email response, which I am thoughtful of how I send it back, that I would be sure to do all of those things.
do all those things, right?
I'm gonna say, hi Heather. In the future, when you're writing an email for work or for school, please be sure to and then say some kind of salutation.
Right.
Thank you. But I feel like that I don't know how to soften that. It feels a little like you're on the spot. Like if you're the student or the supervisee who's reading the email where I just said to you in the future, right? I don't know how I would improve on that.
I think reminding them of, it's so easy to fall into like texting lingo. This is an email, which actually now replaces handwritten letters. So in an email, it's a more formal approach than a text message. And you always want to make sure you're not using shorthand, you're addressing who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a way to necessarily soften it, because a correction's a correction.
Yeah.
But a way to just say,
well, could you say, hi, Heather, I understand how you might send a quick email and have forgotten some of these things.
Right. Wink, wink.
Right. But that sounds a little.
But you could say something
back to that.
Right. I could say something back to you like, hey, Sarah, thanks for checking in on whatever topic that was. In the future, you're still saying in the future, but you're softening it. And you're saying, don't forget, an email and a text are two different things. Right? Because if you texted me and asked me something, then that would be different.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep thinking about that how that works. that how you can manage that, because I feel that happening more and more.
Right.
That students or supervisees, especially when they're emotional,
Yes.
will send an
Right.
email that misses some of those parts,
Right.
or the tone.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think that's even a more challenging redirect for me, that maybe they had all of those email components, but their tone was not the way that they would speak to me in person.
Right. Right. They would never, but also that is like that third wall between
Yes.
you. Like, it's like they allowed to,
You're welcome.
they're allowed to say whatever they need to say without feeling like they're connected. Like, there's a break. I can say this. I would never say face this way. Right.
Right.
And I think that also goes back, we're circling back also the telehealth stuff. That goes back to that, because it's like, well, there's this barrier, even on Zoom meetings or whatever, you act differently or say differently. I used to have a really big problem with like trainings where they're like, your camera must be on. I'm like, oh, really? But now I think I understand even more why they want that. Not just so is someone paying attention, but it does.
It's a different level of interaction.
Right.
I do that to my supervisees. If someone's not on camera or is muting often,
right.
I mean, a little more grace if it's a bigger group, like you're in a training or something. Right. But if it's you and one or two supervisees and someone keeps muting or turning their camera off, at some point I'm going to say, hey, are we having, and I would say that softly, are you having trouble with the microphone? Do you want us to stop for a second?
Right.
Giving them and pointing out, one, I'm noticing and I want you on camera and on video, on audio, but also giving them a little wiggle room to say, oh yeah, sorry, I'm getting it fixed, or something. I'm working on it.
I can't remember if you and I talked about this last week or if this is from a different conversation, but somebody has told me that I don't remember if it was supervision or with a client, but on telehealth, and they had the TV on and they could hear the TV, like they could hear the TV. And like clearly they're watching the TV, like they're looking up above the monitor. And so like,
I was going to say, I can also imagine at people's homes, some people keep the television on as background noise.
Right.
And it might be out of vision, out of sight, or even, but you can hear it and you feel distracted, or
what are you looking at?
Maybe it's just causing more noise traffic that you're having to block out or decipher if that's what they're saying, or that could be tricky. So I think more and more that's a greater obstacle to professionalism. If you're learning professionalism and now there's another layer of telehealth professionalism, that gets tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last point in the article was that there are more often situations where people are, rather than thinking about a dynamic as a work dynamic, they're personalizing it and feel emotional about the work situation.
Right. I think that happens often. And supervisees, I think it probably happens, I'm not going to say all the time, but very, very often. If you receive a correction from your supervisor and you aren't receptive, or you don't feel like it's something you could do, like, then that feels taking it from an emotional, like having an emotional reaction instead of just pausing and going, okay, wait, this was feedback I needed. Maybe there's something I needed to change. Maybe there's something I needed to do.
Well, I think your reaction to it is different if you feel like it's personal versus if it's a work situation. Right. So, like, if we go our first example that we were talking about, the way that you dress.
Right.
So if you're taking it personal, you think you don't like how I look.
Right.
Or instead of well, this is just this is about a work expectation. Maybe this is like in our employee agreement,
right? That
this is how you dress. So it's not about if your toes are cute or not,
right?
But in this work setting, we wear closed-toed shoes.
Exactly.
So how would you help a supervisee move from a place of feeling very personal about something to helping them see that this is just a component or a part of work.
Right. You know, I'm going to say it as it is.
Mm.
Like, just like come out and say it. I
Mm-hmm.
tend to be pretty directive when it comes to that point. If I
Mm-hmm.
notice in supervision that a supervisee seems to be more emotional or taken back by something I say,
Mm-hmm.
I just say, well, tell me what happened just now. Like, I saw a reaction, like
Yeah.
in the moment, try and
Yeah.
like label it. Sometimes with tones of emails, I'm like, oh, I hit a nerve. Like,
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said something, they weren't ready to talk about it in session, but I got the emotional outpouring maybe in an email. They were more comfortable than face to face. So it
Mm-hmm.
is something I don't usually email back. I wait till we're back in person and bring it up. Oh, I got your email. Did you want to talk about it?
Oh, yeah.
So,
To get rid of that
right,
what we're talking about with telehealth or other
right.
versions of communication, getting rid of the added complication or
Mm-hmm.
layer in
Mm-hmm.
between that. Um, I think if I thought someone was really reacting in a personal way to something, I would ask them to think about how someone else might react.
Right. That's a great one.
So if some, I mean, I don't, since I work with, I have worked with kids a lot,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a counselor shows up and they're showing
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more skin
Right.
than would be reasonable, and they're redirected and asked
Mm-hmm.
to wear something different, and they feel really personally attacked by
Right.
that. That I might ask them, well, if your coworker
Did that. What'd you
came
think?
wearing
Right.
something similar,
Mm-hmm.
what might you think? What might be the issue with that?
Right.
Um, or even, I mean, with kids and what you're dressing, it makes me think, could you sit on the floor with that?
Right. Can you sit down? Can you play?
Right. If we were being messy, could you be messy
Mm-hmm.
wearing that
Mm-hmm.
today? Would that work for this
Right.
for the work situation? So depersonalizing it by taking out how you're like you in the situation
Right.
and making it more
Right.
general
Right.
might be how I do that. Do you think you sometimes feel personal about a work situation and you have to do that with yourself?
Absolutely. For sure. I think I
Mm-hmm.
always have to remind myself, like, okay, that's my emotional reaction. And I
Mm-hmm.
always say this to myself, okay, that's my emotional reaction. What's my clinical reaction?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do about it?
I mean, hearing you say that makes me think, I don't know if I would say that this is all these other points in the article are mentioned because in the article they're saying these are new or more recent
Mm-hmm.
issues with learning professionalism. But I think because we're counselors,
Right.
isn't so much of our work, it
Yes.
feels personal
Right.
and or is sometimes personal.
Right.
And so we have to practice taking a step
Mm-hmm.
back and thinking, but that's not what
Right.
was intended,
Right.
or that's not how it was meant, or I know I'm feeling that way, but that doesn't mean that
Right.
that's.
I mean, I've even prepped myself before, like reading if I have a parent that I'm working with, and I've
Mm-hmm.
prepped myself, okay, this is not going to be a pleasant email to read.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like what happened, and kind of get ready to take
Mm-hmm.
on the world that way. That way, I'm a little prepared for, I may not like what I'm reading.
Right. Well, I think teaching our supervisees professionalism is a really important part of what we do. So I think this is a good topic
Yeah.
today.
Very good.
Thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. Heather and I realized that we are getting really close to our 100th episode.
Woo!
So, to thank everyone for listening and supporting us, we would like to give a thank you back. And when we post our 100th episode,
Which is about 2 weeks away.
we will plan that the first three people, the first three listeners to like, comment, and follow us, we will be sending you either a copy of Brene Brown's Dare to Lead or Dan Siegel's Being a Brainwise Therapist. So we're really excited about our 100th episode and a chance to say thank you to all of you. And thanks again for listening to Supervision with a Vision.